So in this video we're going to be having a look at how 457 visas have been rorted by certain businesses and how they've been exploiting those on 457 visas, but mainly we're going to look at how to answer some questions related to the use of 457 visas. So in 2013 there was a big independent inquiry into many businesses rorting the system, and what I mean by that is they were attracting migrants on 457 visas and then paying them well below market rates. So they were paying them well below the rate that they should have been paying. And in a lot of these industries, there weren't legitimate skill shortages. They didn't need to be hiring those on 457 visas because there were available Australian workers. So businesses were doing the wrong thing because they weren't paying 457 visa holders enough, and they weren't looking for Australian businesses first. And that was in the case in industries like hotels, for cooks, people working in restaurants and things like that. So it wasn't due to a shortage of labour, which is meant to be the idea of 457 visas, but as an attempt to source foreign cheap labour to reduce production costs to become more competitive. So in 2014 they put in place some inspections to tighten the scheme to reduce the possibility of rorting the system. There was this inquiry that took place where 300 Fair Work ombudsmen carried out routine inspections to make sure that employers were not abusing the system and were not paying 457 visa holders less than they should be, as well as making sure that these 457 visa holders had the skills they should have. There's also been an independent inquiry in 2016. In terms of what's going on, they're making sure that no business is replacing local workers by those on 457 visas, that all businesses are labour market testing, so that all businesses are looking for Australian workers first, and if the 457 visa holder is a professional, so that an Australian tertiary educated graduate must be employed on a one-for-one basis. So for every employee that you have on a 457 visa, you also have to have an Australian tertiary qualified student as well. And the idea is to try and seek to protect the rights of those on 457 visas as well. So in terms of answering some questions on 457 visas, so explain how Section 457 visas can help to alleviate temporary skill shortages that have negative effects on productivity and prices. Well, the first thing you need to do is define what 457 visas are. So they're part of the enterprise migration program that allows businesses to hire skilled workers on a temporary basis, funded by employers, to work in areas we have a legitimate skill shortages. Workers are hired in their profession that help to boost the supply of labour. Why does it help to lower prices and increase productivity? Well, it reduces pressure on wages because the skill shortages often lead to higher prices, and it also puts pressure on existing workers to work harder. Despite not being able to pay workers below market rates, the fact that these 457 visas should be coming here with increased skills and a higher knowledge base should also help to boost our productivity and therefore keep real unit labour costs down. So you want to talk about what they are, how they help to lower wages, and how they help to boost productivity within Australia. Another type of question, define an enterprise migration agreement and discuss how the use of EMAs by large mining projects provides an example of the trade-off that exists between efficiency and equity. So in this case here, we're targeting efficiency, but it can come at the expense of equity. So first of all, defining enterprise migration agreements, custom programs, allow Australian companies to source overseas labour on a temporary basis, make sure you say that, only when genuine skill shortages exist that can't be filled by the Australian labour market. They allow businesses to avoid having skill shortages, however they have been said to increase structural unemployment in some industries. The other reason they increase structural unemployment is because it reduces the incentive for businesses to train up their own staff, and that can lead to problems for equity as well. Increasing the use of visas helps to keep labour markets loose, which means there's more supply of labour, placing downward pressures on real unit labour costs and providing greater incentives for businesses to be productive. This is good for efficiency because it helps to maximise our output per unit of input and therefore boost technical efficiency and boost our international competitiveness. So you want to talk about the increased productivity that they bring to the market, the lower prices. But if local workers are forced out of the job market, when genuine skill shortages do not exist, so if they're used inappropriately, or even if they are used appropriately and Australians don't get access to the right level of training, that can have negative implications and can lead to more Australians experiencing absolute poverty or not being able to afford a dignified standard of living. It can also lead to lower working conditions for Australians, and this can be bad for equity as well, and increase the Gini coefficient. In terms of this last one, explain how rorting of Section 457 visas can have negative effects on living standards. Define what rorting means. Explain it can have negative implications because it can lead to reduced pay and conditions for existing workers. Or if they hire those that when they don't have legitimate skill shortages, it can increase structural unemployment, and then link it back to the goal of making it harder to afford goods and services to achieve a dignified standard of living. So talk about poorer conditions and the increased level of structural unemployment. So in terms of, I'll go through this another time. Thank you.